right. Well, good morning. This is Dr. Ted Caleris, Superintendent, Brooklyn City Schools. This is the latest episode of the Hurricane Watch podcast. I am here with Mr. Tom Burton from We Empower. Tom has worked with our district and our students over the last 3 years on some student leadership and voice training. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Dr. Caleris, sir.
Tell me a little bit about you and what you do and kind of your journey, how you got here.
Well, I was former teacher, coach, administrator, superintendent. Spent 36 glorious years in public education and loved it. But I was ready to kind of take a step and do a couple things differently. So I started a company called We Empower, LLC, which actually my children, 3 children, and my wife helped me with that title. Because they always said that I always talked about it's about we, not me. I loved empowerment. And my youngest son, who's in finance at Ohio State, says, Dad, of course, you have to start a limited liability corporation, LLC. So hence, We Empower, and I speak, coach, and consult around the country.
Tom, the Hurricane Empowerment Project started 3 years with the need for us to come in and do some leadership training with our high school students. Tell us a little bit about that project, some of the things we've done, and really what motivates you to keep coming back with us. Because again, like I said, this is year 3 with us.
Yeah, well, thanks, Ted. And I have to say that I have to give you some praise here. I know you don't really like to readily accept that, but it's true. And this is really about your vision to amplify student voice in the district. And being able to do that, there's a lot of different ways. A lot of times we do a great job with giving titles. We say I have National Junior Honor Society, National Honor Society, we have Student Council, and we have a president, vice president, treasurer, and then we develop leaders. Well, that's not true. We've given kids titles. So your intentionality to make sure that we develop student leaders by allowing students to amplify their voice, that's really led to this Hurricane Empowerment Project, which, by the way, wasn't a title you came up with, wasn't a title I came up with. It was a title of the students.
Yeah.
Right? So it is and will always be about the students. So that really kind of led that. It was your vision, your mission, but the reality is what keeps me coming back, your kids are second to none.
They're amazing.
They are amazing. They're intentional. And here's the greatest thing about them. They're like young ladies, young men, and not perfect.
Nope.
So some of the kids that are in there, man, their paths are going to be tremendously successful. Their paths are all very different. And that's what I love. And the kids are so authentic here and this beautiful diversity here, which drives me each day.
So our first conversation 3 years ago really centered around student voice and making sure that, I think schools do a very good job of focusing on the athletics, the extracurricular activities, the academics. Sometimes we miss the mark with regards to giving students the ability to communicate and have that student voice within their own district. And one of the first conversations we had was about student voice. How do you incorporate student voice, that leadership, into the work we do with kids? And so tell me a little bit about the project and some of the activities done with the kids.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'm going to laser focus on one activity.
Yeah, please.
So after we do a variety of ice-breaking activities, icebreakers, team building, we have the kids kind of wrestle a little bit with who they are, why they are, and where they are in life. We actually settle on doing a leadership acrostic. And so the students write down leadership on a poster board, and then they come up with a word that best represents L in leadership. So I give them an example, loyalty. And then I'm like, well, you can't use that anymore. And then and then I say, do you want another example? And they're like, no. So they come up with a word for each letter in leadership. But that's only part of it. So what does that actually mean? So when the students go through it, I ask them to kind of think of a problem that they want to solve that currently exists in the school. And so they think of a problem, they think of the solution, and then that amplifies their voice right there. But it actually comes into play when they actually have conversations with principals, assistant principals, to try to really then make that solution come alive. And most recently, I did a big program in Cincinnati, and I didn't even realize this, but I woke up the next morning. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I woke up the next morning and I saw a social media post, and it was from a principal and who took pictures with their students. And they said, "How awesome is this when your students come back from a student leadership program, want to solve a problem, actually have solutions, want to be part of the solution." So that is how you make it come alive in the amplification. We can only do so much, but your students are seeing what problems exist. They're solving problems. They're meeting with people. I know you've been intimately involved in saying you want to know more. We were sitting in this very room where this podcast is with unbelievable seniors who took part in it the very first year,
Yeah.
and you were like, "Let me have it. Let's look at problems. Let's look at solutions," and that's how you amplify student voice.
And I think sometimes the adults, in any organization, not just schools, get in the way of change. And this has been important for us, to give our students a voice in their school, because it's their school. It's not my school. It's their school. All right. So you are a very courageous person because you get up in front of 30, 40, 50 kids,
100 today.
100 today. We're going to talk about in a little
Let's
bit.
go.
That's right. But you get up in front of kids, not knowing them, all different types of kids, and have to build a relationship with them. Tell me, first of all, how do you do that so well? And tell me how you translate building relationships into your training with our kids.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've actually never been asked that. Uh, I think part of it is I think kids know, they feel the energy, they could do that. And I'm a little bit like a chihuahua when I'm out on a stage or in front of students. So I'm bouncing all over the place. I think the students like the energy. I'm super authentic. I pretty much lead with vulnerability. I talk about some of my failures. I think sometimes we feel as adults, especially in education, that we have to show the students that we're perfect. Well, no one's perfect. And the reality is that leading with examples, making sure, you're connecting with the kids, asking them questions about themselves, being vulnerable, and just being around, supporting them as they go through these different initiatives, use humor, and be super empathetic when they struggle, but also push them. You have to have high
Yeah.
expectations.
Yeah.
So I think that students will always respond in high expectation settings as long as whatever they're doing, it's engaging and it's actually focused on them.
So this is year 3 with us, and we'll talk about this year's project in a few minutes. But how have you, like, year 1 always looks different than year 2, then looks different in year 3. Like, talk to me a little bit about, and I know you do this all over the country with lots of different kids, backgrounds, socioeconomic,
Mhm.
urban, rural, the whole 9 yards. How has your program developed from year 1 to year 3? And talk a little bit about why you believe that's been a good evolution.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember forever ago, I'm an old guy. Forever ago, there was a teacher that said, "You know what? I love teaching, but I feel like at the end of the day, I'm a way better teacher than I was at the beginning of the day because I'm able to make adjustments." And I remember I bought into that concept. And then I thought to myself, but each class is unique. So if you make adjustments based upon the first class with those students, it may not work for the second class. It may not work for the third class or the fourth class. So I think you have to understand who's in front of you. And I think that's super important to make sure that you understand that. So every time I do this, it's a different evolution. For instance, a great example. When I was in Ypsilanti, Michigan, a great group of students, they were on fire, man. We were having a great time. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to get this one activity. And it always happens at the end of the very first session. Always. Never one time has it been anything different. However, this time it had to be because we were not ready to move on from like the second activity. It was so rich and so impactful as kids were really wrestling with who they were, where they were, and why they were. So I just think you need to be responsive, and each year's different, each group's different. And so, that's the way it is. Your first group, when I'm walking down the hallway 3 years later, when the kids see me,
Mr.
we're talking.
Yeah,
It's awesome. And the thing is, this can't be a one hit wonder. It
right.
can't be. And that's why your commitment is critical to say, hey, we're going to have multiple sessions of students or multiple sessions with students, and it's going to lead to something bigger than all of us. And it did last year for sure.
Yeah, tell me about so we switched it up a little bit this year,
Sure did.
and we decided to partner with, another school district, which I have a connection with, but tell us a little bit tell me a little bit about, our partnership with North Olmsted, and now we're bringing 2 different groups of kids together trying to achieve the same thing. Talk to us a little bit about that first session.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's the second session.
Second, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm fired up about that. I'm actually gonna go back to the last thing I said answering the last question. It's it's bigger than us.
Yeah.
So when they did the Brooklyn beautification project, it was bigger than us. Wasn't about Dr. Ted Caleris or Tom Burton from We Empower or the students. It was about a community.
Right.
And so when you think about that, that really led to you thinking, hey, can we expand this? Can we partner with other school districts? And yes, so North Olmsted, Brooklyn came together. Uh, Honestly, I thought it was going to be about 30, 40 kids. Because you push, like, hey, how about 60? Sure. Bring them all together. Give me all the kids. No problem. So we had 60 kids come together. It was in the auditorium, Brooklyn. We had tables set up outside, great activities, all of that, wrestling with some of the challenges. And again, it ended with a leadership acrostic. And I like the fact that we were struggling to end
Yeah.
because I think we got out a little bit late. Sorry, North Olmsted got back late. But the reality is the kids interacted with each other. So it wasn't just Brooklyn working with Brooklyn students or North Olmsted working with North Olmsted students. They interacted with each other. And that, I think, is a key to developing those vulnerable relationships because we have to solve a problem that we don't know what it is yet. And so whether or not it's going to be a specific problem that we're trying to solve in a Brooklyn community and then another one in North Olmsted community. But the reality is it's going to be incredible. Uh, and I don't even know what it's going to be yet.
Yeah.
It's going to be based upon student voice.
Now these trainings are imperfect, right? I've taught a long time. I teach college, and I know, and you're dealing with students who come with different skill sets. How do you work through some of the ups and downs with when you bring kids together that may not be as motivated to be there or having a
Mm.
bad day
Ooh,
or you know what? They just
yeah.
don't want to be there because they're worrying about a math test. Like how do you because I think part of what we have to do as adults is teach kids resilience
Mhm.
and to focus and be present. How do you do that?
Yeah. So uh, I've been super blessed. I've had all these great experiences and whatever, but you're right. It's perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
So first session we had with your group, there were a couple kids that really didn't seem very engaged. And so what I do is I'll pull them aside and say, "Hey, listen, this is a choice. If you don't want to be here," but I give them a couple sessions, right? I stopped doing that because I think the kids were they were just different, but they were super involved, but just involved in their own way. They were comfortable. And so when I looked at some of the work that they had to produce, they were super thoughtful and they were getting a lot. So I feel like you have to really give kids a benefit of the doubt and understand where they are and kind of their mindset, where they're coming from, and understand that, hey, I don't know where the kids came from right before they walked into the leadership session. They could have had these traumatic
Yeah.
experiences. Much like a classroom teacher, you have to give students a benefit of the doubt and work with them, and not, have them just work, to meet your
Yeah.
expectations. You have to kind of partner with them. So I think that's the first thing. The other thing is there's a group that maybe half of them are really kind of struggling, and it's struggling a little bit more than
Yeah.
just, I looked at their productivity, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
So it is a choice. And if you truly want to amplify student voice and there's students in the room that don't want to be there and it represses other people's voice, then that's a bad thing. So you have to have conversations and give them a choice. So I talked to a couple students in another state where I'm working with, and right at the beginning, I said, "Hey, listen, really appreciate, but the last couple times you were here, I didn't see that you were really engaged, and I take that like I could have done better." But I simply asked them, "Do you want to be here?" And one person said no,
Yeah.
and so they left.
Yeah.
It was great. The other person
But that's
said
the
yes,
epitome of student voice. You're get
1,000%.
that is the
Right.
that is the exact thing.
Yes.
We want kids to advocate for themselves as
Mhm.
opposed to work. Absolutely.
Yep. So the very next session, after that student left, they were the first person there,
Yeah.
and they said they made a mistake.
That's great.
And I said, "Well, did you talk to a teacher about it?" "No."
Yeah.
"Who'd you talk to? Why did you make that change?" "Well, I remember the first couple sessions, we spent a lot of time reflecting."
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, "Well, this is dumb." And when they left, they were walking alone back to the high school. And when people asked why they're back, I reflected, the kid said.
Yeah.
And so that reflection led them to come back.
So
And actually, they had a great session. They were totally engaged now.
and that's exactly what we want to happen. Well, I know you have a busy day planned today, and again, I think we went to kind of that next level last spring, and tell me a little bit. Last question here, because we want to get you ready for those 106 graders.
Can't wait.
96 coming
Can't
here
wait.
in a
Let's
little bit.
go.
Tell me about our middle school symposium we're starting today.
Yeah. Again, this is something I remember us talking about, quite frankly, being 100% vulnerable. Usually when I was superintendent, I hire a consultant. It'd be for a specific project or for 1 year. And then we kind of get up to speed, and then that would it. We actually talked about that. And then things were going so well, and then your vision was so big, you were like, well, come back for the second year. And then at the end of last year, vision so big and mission so big, you're like, hey, what about if we expand this to middle school? Which is awesome. Unbeknownst to me, though, you're even a bigger thinker than that thing. You're like, hey, what about if we grab all kinds of middle schools?
That's right.
And so that's what we did, or you did. So you sent out an invitation. I think you were 100%.
So we have we have Fairview coming today, Cuyahoga Heights, Independence,
North Olmsted.
North Olmsted, and St. Thomas More, and our Brooklyn Hurricanes. All 96 sixth graders in the gym today.
96 sixth graders ready to go.
That's right.
I can't wait. Yeah, so that's gonna come today, and again, it's not a one-hit wonder. We're gonna work really, really hard, get them engaged, have them think about a problem they want to solve, have them create an action plan. They're gonna go back to the school, actually implement it through the course of the next 5 months. We're going to come back with the kids in the spring and actually see what they did,
Yeah.
continue that leadership. And this is something that I think is genius, is not having eighth graders. And you're like, wait, what? Why not eighth graders? Well, it's great. Eighth graders are awesome. They deserve leadership, no question.
Yeah.
But the reality is, so we go through this process and then they leave the middle school.
That's right.
So the sixth graders, we work with them. Then those sixth graders become seventh graders next year. We do it again. And sixth, and the next thing you know, it's all these leaders in the
You're
school
building the
really doing
capacity.
it,
That's
building
right.
the capacity, authentic student voice. And that, I guarantee you, like, these kids engaged, focused in the right direction, solving solutions, the schools are going to look different.
Yeah.
Because of students.
Well, I will tell you, the work we're doing with student leadership is something here in Brooklyn we're committed to. You're not going to see it in test scores. You're not going to see it in any report from the state of Ohio. This is truly about developing the whole child, and Tom's been a integral part of that. And as long as I'm superintendent here, Tom will be part of our development of our kids. Tom, I want to thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing today's amazing chaos, which it will be. But I'm excited And again, I'm excited to continue the work with us. So I want to thank you for being here.
Well, thank you very much. Can I leave you with one thing? Do you
Please,
mind? Okay.
absolutely.
So even though I was a terrible student, the light finally went on for me. It took me a while. So my English teachers right now are probably like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe he's going to talk about Henry David Thoreau." But in a little-known book called Faith in a Seed, Henry David Thoreau said this: though I do not believe a plant will spring up where no seed has been, I have great faith in a seed. Convince me there's a seed, and I'm prepared to expect wonders." This whole concept of elevating student voice through the Hurricane Empowerment Project, elevating student voice in middle schools and collaborating with other high schools or whatever, that was a seed that you came up with, that we first started thinking about. And how do we do this? And when you think about this concept of a seed and the nourishment it takes to have it grow, that's happening in Brooklyn. If you don't know what's going on in Brooklyn City schools, you need to know, because it would have been super easy for this school district to be really, really selfish and not include other schools, and certainly not include other non-public schools. So I just want to say to you,
Right.
you've done more than a seed, Ted.
Yeah.
This is something that's amazing. So I appreciate your leadership, and I know the whole community does
I
too.
appreciate you, Tom. You're the one in the trenches and doing the work. So again, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
This has been the latest episode of the Hurricane Watch podcast. Have a great day, everybody.